You're mute.
Hi guys, welcome back to the crappy wheel of diversity, as Colin says. Which the wheel of diversity, yes, the wheel of crap is probably a wee bit more. So, Jim, what did you think of C's episode 2?
Oh boy, where do I even start? Where do I even begin with this? It's clear that they have a desire to move as far away from the source material, the books, anything that has to do with the original material as possible. I will say that there are some certain aspects that they do play the approach when they're getting hunted, the approach to Shadow Logo. They do present that really well. As Lan is cautious, he's skirting the edges of it because he wants to get away, and they know that the Trollocs and the Fade is hunting them. The TV show doesn't really represent that bit. It's just that they want to get somewhere. It's not the fact that they're hunted or chased, that they have a sense of urgency. It's just they're in the forest. Even Moraine within the TV show is just going, oh, is there a reason you're staying so close to it? What really irks me is Rosamund Pike is now the audio book on Amazon Prime or Amazon Books or whatever it's called, Audible. She's actually reading the books out loud to a microphone. And I'm wondering, she's an executive producer of the TV show, and she's actually reading the books now. I doubt she ever did before. And I'm wondering if her mind isn't just like breaking apart, just going, how the hell did I sign up and sign off on something this bad, this far off target?
See, that's the thing is, I think the fact that she's reading it, I think it'll be a case of she'll be sitting there thinking, I'll make it better because it was so bad. Ours is better. Because I know, unfortunately, I know someone who thinks this is the greatest thing since Game of Thrones. They've never read the books, but they think it's the greatest thing since Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but talking about Game of Thrones, if you read the reviews on Amazon, not IMDb, not Rotten Tomatoes, wherever, if you actually go and read the Amazon reviews, all the ones that are giving it 5 stars, I've read the books hundreds of times.
Mhm.
It's like, no, you haven't even opened one of the books.
No, but this
And
is basically normies are out there saying this is the greatest thing since Game of Thrones. That is where the problem is. And the problem is, well, let's look at it from the beginning. So it starts, I can honestly say this was not as bad as episode 1 because I managed to get through it in one sitting. I didn't have to stop it to swear and shout at the screen and throw things and but
really, I have a plaster coming around next week because I threw things at the wall.
But see, the first episode, I was just basically, I couldn't, after the first minute, I had to stop it and I was shouting and swearing and I was calling it for everything. Then I had to wait and then I went back in and then every 10 minutes or so, I had to switch it off. That's why it took me 3 hours to watch it. This one, I managed it in one sitting. Maybe I was just, I wasn't expecting anything other than the crap we got, so it made it easier. But even if you look at it from the beginning, right, the bit after previously from last week, you had Eamon Valder sitting there, I'll eat this chicken. Oh, it makes your blood and all that, but it's really nice, aren't I evil? I'm eating the whole bird. And
No,
then
all he came across to me is that he's a freak, and that does not fit with the White Cloaks. Yes,
Yeah.
you have that. What is it? It is the lieutenant that is very brutal in the books toward, especially Perrin. He's very brutal because Perrin's eyes by this time have started to change,
Yeah.
and he looks outside. He looks straight, but he doesn't do it with malice. He just goes,
Child,
"You are not normal."
Child Jared, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. He's called Charles, and for anyone that hasn't read the book, if you're with the White Cloaks, even though you're being referred to as child, you can still have a very significant ranking within
Child is
the
just
White
soldier.
Cloaks.
It's just
Yes.
basically because they're children of the light. They are the children. Actually, the soldiers are the children. That's what they call it. Is. But even take it from the beginning. It goes in, and there's the White Cloak camp, and they're all stoating about in their bathrobes because that is not their outfit. Their outfit, they should have breastplates on, they should have armor, they should have their helmets on, conical, they should have this the blazing sunburst on their chest, on their none of that. It just looks like they're stoating about with their pajamas on.
Yes.
And then when you see Valda, and surprise, surprise, they call them the witches of Tarvalon, so let's show them burning one at the stake. Yeah, that's basically it. And to stop her channeling, what did they do? Cut her hands off. So what's implying
And
that
tie her tongue.
they had that round their mouth, but the fact that they'd cut her hands off sort of implies that they need their hands to weave their stuff. Then when they've done that, if you look at episode 1 where Moiraine's doing all the stuff, she's doing all the hand movement, and then in this one you see her doing the hand movements, and what they're going to do. So basically, the spells are done with your hands. Then how did it work when she was teaching Egwene? There wasn't any hand movements when she was trying to get her.
Exactly.
It's
So
inconsistent.
it shows that they have a notion of how the one power really works. They have a notion of how it does work, but
no, but it's
there is
typically
no way you would stop a witch of Tarvalon by cutting her hands off and tying her mouth. She would still be able to wield the one force. If she's awake, she can wield it.
Yeah, but that's the point. They've actually now done it in such a way that it puts it off like that. And Archer says, so the guys wearing white are evil. What a surprise. The thing is, in the book, the good thing about the Children of the Light in this one and the Children of Light in the books, I hate both of them. So, yeah. The thing is, the Children of the Light think they're taken from like the Crusader types. They think they're doing good. They think they're doing the creator's work.
Yes.
But as I've always said, if someone's doing the same as the Shadow would do, then they can't call themselves walking in the light. The White Cloaks always see themselves as doing the right thing and doing the good, but they're evil.
But that's the brilliance that Robert Jordan managed to bring out in the books. It's, yes, the White Cloaks are definitely not Dark Friends, but
they're no different.
The methods are no different than the Dark Friends.
Yeah, and in this one, it basically it's the same again. So I dislike the White Cloaks from the start, and I've never. To me, they're just another.
Oh, come on! You're only disliking the White Cloak because they were kicking the living daylight out of Perrin.
No. From the very beginning, it's the same idea. For something it's meant to walk in the light and doing no different from what the Dark Friends would do, then I automatically dislike them. So no matter what they say, I dislike them. But so the books and the TV show, I dislike both of them in the books and the TV show. So in that respect, I've probably got them a bit better than they've done with any other
Yeah,
female characters.
you see, okay, if you actually read the books, and I know you have, but I'm talking more to the audience about that are listening at the moment. You actually read the books, you get the gist that the White Cloaks are a little bit of a joke. That they're trying, they have a mission, they have compassion for what they believe in. Fair enough, and Robert Jordan really does well bringing that to light, as uplifting it, as in going, these guys would like to kill you, but it's because of what they believe. It isn't like, oh, they're completely bad, they're completely useless. But watching the scene here with the witch of Tarvalon being burned at the stake,
Mhm.
and he's just like crunching on like what does it look like? Sparrow
It's
with
a
beaks
sparrow or
and
something like
claws
that, with
and
the beaks and claws still
yeah,
attached to it.
yeah. It makes no sense
Of course it doesn't.
whatsoever.
It's almost it's to show he's a deviant. That's all it is. It's to
Yeah,
show he's a deviant. But
but the
he's a
White Cloaks
question. He's a
aren't
questioner.
deviant.
He's a questioner, and Archer's right. He's like an inquisitor. The inquisitors are from the army. He's a questioner to the hand of the light. That's what they call it. And he is the one who seeks the truth. So basically, they'll torture somebody until they get what they want. They're basically same idea as the inquisitors during the Spanish Inquisition.
Right?
You're already guilty. They just have to prove you are. That is it. End of story. But the bit where
The one thing here, especially touching on what Archer is talking about, it's you actually see Lamb stepping up. You still, you should have had it from scene 1, second 1. You do not, pardon the language, fuck around with Alan Mandragoran.
yeah, but
But when the Inquisitor is coming in and he's like hands all over Moraine, he's just going, I was raised in the north. We keep our hands to ourselves lest we lose them.
yeah, but
He is, that is the one time I've actually seen
yeah.
Lan being
But aye, we're
Lan.
jumping ahead a bit. But the very
Yeah, I
first
know.
the first part was with the burn the witch, and that is a trope because they're called them Tarvalon witches. Somebody seen that and thought we'll have to have one burning, showing the man burning the witch, the woman, and that's the only reason they had that burning of the burning of the Aes Sedai, and it's so they could burn the witch, and
Yep.
it's because they call them Tarvalon witches, which is stupid. Then it starts again with the chase, and Lion comes up and says they're right behind us, they're catching us. Oh well, we'll need to go faster. You mean you weren't running as fast as you could?
Mm.
So you suddenly decided now they're catching up to you, they're that close that you already knew they were right behind you, you saw their torches, and you suddenly decided that, oh well, we need to hurry up now. Right, that makes zero sense. And then she gets to the Taran Ferry, and what's the first thing she does? Shows her ring again. Isn't that a surprise? She just shows her ring all the time she wants something
But
done.
we still have no explanation. If you purely, if I throw away all the book readings I've done about this, I have no clue who Moraine is. I don't know why Rand is part of the merry band that is going off on an adventure. I
That
don't
makes
know why
sense.
Perrin is there. Matt, maybe because he would like to like try and escape. But obviously, he still have his sisters. But maybe he's going, okay, this might be an opportunity to make more money. He is the only one that actually, if you discard the books completely and just look at the TV show, he's the one that would have a reason to go. And Egwene? No, now I actually have to use the books. Egwene is not a Taveran. Egwene interrupted them leaving the village not when a massive army was marching down on the town or the village. She interrupted them because she saw Matt being suspiciously acting and everything. And she put one and one together, and she heard that Lan was buying up a lot of horses, all of that.
Yeah.
And therefore, she went to the stable to ambush them in the middle of the night when they wanted to sneak away.
Yeah.
That's the book. But
But
here,
that's the
she's
thing.
just dragged along. And the TV show is now going, the book, 3 Tavern. The TV show is going 5 Tavern.
Yeah. But the fact is, they're jumping all over with this. Like, for instance, she keeps showing the ring, which she never did in the book. She only ever showed it if she needed to. So if it was dragged out. But even things like, I know people actually like the Trollocs. I think they look crap, especially when they're running. They just look as if somebody's not done the CGI properly.
When they're running, I will agree. All the CGI Trollocs are crap, but when they actually use the animatronics, when it's on set,
I want to
when
see
it's
them in
like
armor.
the freeze frame, and you do have
I
a
want to see them
human
in
actor.
armor.
Yeah, but when you have the human actor actually stepping up, that feels a little bit what I had in my mind. This is a Trolloc, but they still feel a little bit too,
Bestial.
shall we say, well groomed. Now these are creatures just like fearing fades, but you don't even get that dynamic because the TV show is just like jumping ahead so quickly. The Trollocs hates a fade. The Trollocs would kill a fade if they could. They would. No questions asked. They would kill a fade if they could. But here you just get the gist that, oh, he's in charge of the army.
Yeah.
And
But I just
it
think-
doesn't work. It doesn't add the dynamics that the book brings along. And they've already lost too much of it. I mean, going back to what I said, I have no idea why Rand is part of the journey. I have no idea why Perrin is there. He's a married guy. I mean, if you look at the book story, he's constantly questioning himself because he does get alone just after this episode. So I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but I'm kind of following the book. But he's going, oh, why is Egwene telling me this? What does she want? How do I actually make her okay with what I am? I wish Rand was here because he can talk to women. But Rand, on the other side, is going with this exact same question. I wish I had Perrin's patience and charisma and thought and choice of words. So even Rand is going, I wish I had Perrin by my side because he knows what you would say.
That's the thing in the book. Each of them, because they're like 15, 16, they always say, I bet Perrin and Matt would be able to handle it because they understand women better. Matt says the same about Perrin and Rand. Perrin says the same about Matt and Perrin. It's because typical boys, they always think somebody else knows better because their pals seem a bit more thingy. But in this
dynamic between the three of them.
That's the thing is, because they aced them up, they screwed everything up. Like, for instance, now Rand and Egwene, Rand's the wee wimpy guy. I'm not talking to you because you're leaving me because you want to be in the White Tower and all this pish. He's such a weakling. But even things like, you look at Moiraine, the ferryman, get across, and the ferryman says, but my son's over there. Nothing we can do. Okay, I need to, okay, I'm going to destroy you. I mean, he jumps in. She kills him. Bummer for him. Still, she killed him.
This is a tricky scene, and I think they lifted it well from the books. But I did not see in my mind's eye in the books that he was actually jumping into the river to like try to save his raft or whatever it was. It was just that she just went, danger is over there. I have to protect us because the Trollocs will not cross this stream. They will not come across. I have to.
There's the Drakkar. They missed out completely. The
Yeah, the car.
The
What
fact
happened
is,
to that?
he basically, there was Taryn Ferry isn't just a single cottage at the ferry; it is a town. So basically,
And it's a
there was
town
there was
that Two Rivers
the
is having
assistant,
an issue with.
the assistant. They had these assistants to pull it across. So she waited till they were all out getting the money. Then she destroyed it, and it was the river's taking it. Isn't that a shame? Here they go, a wee bit extra to help you because obviously you were helping us. So she was ingratiating herself. She had to destroy it, but she made sure he had plenty gold because it was their fault. But they were all on the same side, and there was no the Trollocs sitting there waiting to kill everything, and they knew they had to get rid of the thing because the Trollocs would have used it somehow, or they would have got across. But
I
it's the
mean,
fact is, she sat and watched him, and it was almost a case of he got his choice and he decided against it.
yeah,
Nothing I
the
could do.
Moraine in this TV show feels much more like
Basically, why the heck would you trust her?
Terminator 2.
Why would you
When
hell would you
Arnold is
trust her?
actually turning around and he's becoming protective, he's like, when Linda Hamilton is doing that monologue at the gas station where he's standing, he has the shotgun over his shoulder, he's just looking out, he's protecting the region. He still doesn't understand why you should care about human life or anything. But he has the mission that he has to protect them
Yeah,
and
but
follow
this
them.
one,
And that's what she feels like. She feels
she feels
extremely
as if she's got zero care about anything unless it suits her. And as they said, if we decide to leave, is she going to kill us? That's exactly what it is. So, in effect, Moiraine went from being one of the best characters in the book to one of the worst characters in the TV show because she has got no agency. She basically just does what she wants. And if you don't do what you want, I'll kill you and destroy all your stuff. The fact is, this wasn't as bad as the first week, but still so bad. Even things like you look at the bats falling out their mouth, coming out their mouth. That's basically later on. That's Taryn Ferry. Sorry, that's Camelin, and it's the rats, but they're not coming out their mouth. You just see them
Yeah,
breaking
no,
the
there's
back.
some dead rats around them when they
Uh-huh.
came into Camelin.
But
But
what's this
that
clip with
is
the
when
bats coming
the
out the mouth?
stories are split up into
Uh-huh.
to the different regions.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's almost crazy. It's almost a case of like, oh, I like the rats thing. I bet we're in the country. We'll make it bats. What the hell? It makes zero sense. Then, but how? Why would they stay with Moiraine? They basically know fine well she would kill anybody who gets in their way.
Yeah, but that's the weird thing. In the book, you get the sense that Moiraine is doing everything she can to protect them,
Yeah,
to keep them safe. But here,
they're a burden.
don't worry, she'll kill you if you step out of line. It's like,
Exactly.
where did that come from?
And then obviously they bump into the white cloaks, and that's another thing that pissed me off as well. Right, you've got Bonehold, right? They seemed a bit, as Archer said, he seemed a lot nicer. Well, Bonehold is the captain commander. He's basically in the head of it. He's in the book. He's fine. He's basically a soldier, and he'll not do anything in me. But if he wants your information, he'll be quite happy to send you to get beaten up to get the information he wants. So, in this one, he's just a soldier who's quite happy. But the fact that he tells her to go and see an Aes Sedai to get healing, really, the white cloaks advising somebody to go and seek out an Aes Sedai.
No. This I actually like because the White Cloaks is not the monolith. They're not just pure bad. You do have the individuals within it, and
Yeah,
they
but
do
the
understand.
captain commander,
And even if you look at the early kind of encounters, the captain of the White Cloaks, not Child Aaron or whatever it's called, that is torturing Perrin. Yes, but the captain is quite patient. He doesn't
he's
go,
patient, but he's quite happy.
You're immediately bad to Perrin because he has yellow eyes. He goes, a very balanced method. And I will say that
No, the fact that a white
giving
cloak,
as much charity I can to the TV show, that showed that kind of level.
no. So
Captain
the fact is, a white cloak would never ever do it. But now they've actually got well, the light cloaks are they're going to torture them, but actually they will advise you to go and see them. Yeah, they're telling you
I don't think they would have done that.
They think they're basically they're the devil incarnate. They are dark friends, but he's telling them, the Captain Commander saying, I would go and get somebody to have a look at that, go and speak to a nice eye. That is just complete and utter taking the white cloaks and actually says, I will ignore that part. Because, isn't he silly because he didn't know she was Aes Sedai? Oh, you know what I mean? Stupid stuff. It's just someone came up with a way of possibly dealing with this sort of difference. Yes, I have heard that it's two variations, what happened and what people remember happened.
Yeah.
So it's like they did it in Babylon 5, remember? When there's meant to be 100 years and the news are saying about how they think these were all just Delenn is dead and Delenn walks on at the very end and tells them they don't know what they're talking about. I can understand that, but it's
but that was such a powerful episode.
Yeah.
Because it still shows the thing. History is always written by the winners. The one, you did not necessarily have to win that battle, but if you won overall, you can just go, this is so what happened. It makes us look better, and they were still bad guys. But I love it in the Babylon 5, the episode you're referring to. I don't remember the number or the name of the one, but essentially it's like newscast.
They're basically talking about happens 50 years previously.
Yeah, it's basically CNN or whatever nonsense news channel you have.
Well, they were talking about CNN.
Yeah, basically a news channel that don't care. They want to tell a story, but I love the fact that Delenn is just walking onto the set.
Yeah.
At the end of it, is going, so you say I'm dead? Well, it is what she does, but she's just literally strolling in and absolutely demolishing the entire
But I can understand
story.
that where there's people are saying that there's two stories and it's the same story just told differently. But it's not. That's the problem, because they're missing out the things that are universal, like the one power. You've got the male half and the female half. The way they're implying it in this thing, it is one end of story.
Yes. Which is completely wrong.
And there would be Aes Sedai in later. So the fact that they're saying that they're using all their hand measurements. So certain things, yes, it could be different telling of the same story in advance, but
the thing is, and unfortunately, I'm trying to isolate, because obviously, I watched the rest of the episodes, and I've even watched the fourth one, and it took me an entire bottle of whiskey to just get through it. But I'm going back to the point. They completely scrapped, pardon for spoiling it, Rand's story arc. There is no question of his heritage. There is no concept of the heron-marked blade. And I'm wondering, because episode 5 is likely going to be when they hit Camelin and meet Elaine, her brother, the queen, even the Aes Sedai supporting the queen or counseling the queen. That's episode 5. I know I am, but there is no reason for Rand to actually step up and be part of that, because his heron blade, nope, it's not marked. And if you recall from the book, he actually buys a ribbon to tie around.
It's smart, but it's smart once it's in its sheath. You can't see it, so the heron man should be on the blade and on the hilt. They've got it in a wee bit on the blade, so it's not even like it's part of the blade, because it's meant to actually be part of the blade. That could be just the part where it's the blade's actually in, so it doesn't even actually stand out. It's as somebody said, it was a cosplay blade. Somebody's made a cosplay blade, so there's no significance in the fact it's a herring blade. For the simple fact is, nobody will notice it unless he takes the sword out. So there's none of the.
But there is also a reason behind. If you carried in this world a heron marked blade, it was a sign to your enemy, I have a sword, but it's just not any sword. I know how to use it. I know how to wield it. I will kill you if you want to challenge me.
Yep.
Anyway, and that's what it meant. That's why it's causing so much fear. But they destroyed the entire part of the heron marked blade.
Right out of it. Colin's basically saying it was a clever demonstration of two sides to a story. See, I think it was the opposite. It was the side, as in, do what Moiraine says and she'll do what she wants. So basically, the thing saying about his son, so he dives in and she just sits there and watches her. So she continued letting the whirlpool that she created destroy the boat and him. No way.
I see Colin's part of this, because the ferryman, he didn't have to jump in. He didn't have to swim to his float or whatever it was, because he could see.
But he's a man, of course he did, because he's stupid. He's a man. He's a man. He's stupid.
Again, this is what the TV show is saying, but I still like the book version of him. And this is where my mind is
far superior. There is none, no even the only similarity is it's called Taryn Ferry and there's a ferry. That is it. Everything else is completely different. Everything else, the name of it and the fact that there's two stands.
But again, this is what the whole TV show is.
The TV show
borrowed the names. They have no concept of the characters.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm dredging words coming up to Loyal, the Ogier.
Yeah, I can't actually wait for that one.
Because Loyal is supposed to be, 10 foot tall, look like an ogre, looks scary, almost Trolloc-like. But he's a bookworm. He's a gentle one. He's 100 years old, but he's a child compared to the other Ogiers. And I'm just wondering, how are they going to portray that? Because they've already destroyed everything else. And the first individual that should meet Loyal, the Ogier, is Rand, because Matt is now sinking into the madness that the dagger that he stole from Shadow Logoth.
You're way ahead again. He's
no. Episode 5 is not out until Friday.
According to this book, he did not steal it from Shadow Logoth.
He was duped into.
No, according to the TV show, he found it.
No, again, the TV show is.
According to TV show, he found it. He went on a wee bit of a hunt and found a box with the dagger in it. No more death. Nothing. No. And I've noticed that how the Shadow Logoth's the mist is no longer the mist.
No, it wasn't a mist. It was like creeping mold.
No, do you know what it is? Somebody watched. Was it The Day After Tomorrow? No. What was the one?
No, Day After Tomorrow is a very accurate. Where the frost is creeping.
The frost is actually creeping, chasing people down corridors.
But in Shadow Logoth, it should be a mist.
And it's basically, it's not chasing them. It's just crazy. It's the whole Shadow Logoth looked amazing.
Yes.
Until they went into it. Once they were in it, and then all the stupid things are happening, you're sitting there thinking, means nothing. It means
the trouble I had with the whole Shadow Logoth, it was green screen. Nothing of what they had was even like even like just the basic walking through door, all of it was green screen. You
But
can actually tell when Lan is pushing a door open that his hand is slipping just slightly through what the handle is supposed to be. When he's gripping
Yeah.
it,
I see, I
it
didn't pay
goes
that
like
much
through.
attention
And
to
I'm
it.
just going, could you not have tried to just do like half an hour of carpentry work to actually give them
See,
something
I
to
didn't pay that
physically
much
interact with?
attention to how it looked and thing because I wasn't paying that close attention to it. I actually watched it in one sitting straight through. But the thing is, the city inside the walls looked fucking stupid, and the fact that they walled themselves in. Sorry, has anybody ever heard about farming and food? So they walled themselves in. Even the story about Shadow Logoth is stupid. They completely destroyed that. And what was the thing?
But there is
They
also the
changed the
difference
story.
between the book. It's whilst they didn't shut themselves in,
They
they became like recluse. They didn't want
yes.
outside interference, but they still had farmlands. They still had farmers. Yes, they had the glorious city, which is now Shadow Logoth.
But that's what I'm
But
saying. No more death. That was the thing. It brought its downfall. Suddenly, it was a case of they all brought their own downfall. But the fact is, they changed the backstory for it. But I wanted to go back to when they were riding and the kids started singing a song about Mathindale, and you're sitting there thinking, really? Moiraine starts talking to them about their homeland. Manetheren, sorry, not Mathindale.
Manetheren.
Right, so they're singing about Manetheren, and then she starts explaining about Manetheren, and I'm sitting there thinking, that is what happened at Naaman's Field when they were all talking about, okay, it'll be fine and it'll disappear, and then she starts telling them this is what the old blood is, and she starts giving the chant and explaining where the name Emmons Field comes from and all that. Whereas she tells them when she's riding on horseback because they started singing a song about it, and you're sitting there thinking, really? And then the wolves turn up, and they go, ooh, and then they lick Perrin's wound and run away. They're here, fucking too far in advance. However,
They have no concept on how to bring Perrin's story into it.
it's because basically the stories they can't. That's assuming they know how to tell a story. Based on the 2 episodes I've seen, they don't.
Exactly. I have a feeling that Elias is going to be completely omitted.
Oh no, she'll be fine.
No, Elias will be completely omitted from the
No,
story. Just
she
like the
will be
Drakkar,
fine.
just like Mordred.
Elias, she will be fine. Can guarantee she will be fine, and I'll be able to explain to Perrin how he needs to do it. Because a female wolf can be a pack leader, so you can imagine.
But
Elias
that's the thing from the book. If I remember, the leader of the pack is a female wolf.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they've taken that, and they'll take that, and they'll say, well, Elias can be female because leaders of the pack. And it'll be Elias explaining to Perrin what he needs to know and how he needs to do things.
But I wonder if they will ever even. I mean, obviously, I know I've seen 50% of what is so far, and they're nowhere near where they need to be because they have 4 more episodes.
Of course,
We
because
need
they
the
know.
entire journey of Perrin discovering that he's a wolf brother. You need the part of Rand and Matt coming across not Egwene, Elaine and her brother in Camelin. The entire story around Camelin. And we haven't even started, and apologies for jumping ahead, but Tom Marilyn hasn't disappeared yet.
Has it appeared yet?
No, he has appeared. He hasn't disappeared yet.
Well, in it's episode 2 I'm at, I've not seen him. You
No,
stop jumping ahead.
he's coming in
Stop
a lot later, but
jumping.
I will say I'm actually surprised because I've always wondered how do you portray a patched cloak, merry colors, jovial, former, apologies, chat, this might be spoilers, so put mute for about 5 seconds, but the former king's counselor jester, which is what he was.
No, not a king's counsellor jester. He was a royal bard. It's
Well,
not the same thing.
exactly. I'm trying to be as quick as possible, and now, unfortunately, the 5 seconds I told the chat to put mute, it's gone. So I'm trying to not ruin that part. But the fact that there is so much more to this character is appearing so quickly, he's still there. But again, I'm unfortunately jumping ahead a little bit. But it was staying on episode 2, which is mainly about Shadowlock.
Yeah, but the thing is, they take out Mordeth. Mordeth was meant to be a counsellor who had the ear of the king, and it was him that sort of encouraged certain things, which drew the town into itself, and then started making people distrustworthy. And it was over a time that distrust that actually destroyed the city, and that Mordeth is still there, and it's him who's the mist, who is he's still haunting to an extent. So he's trying to actually get somebody to steal something from Shadow or take something out of Shadow Logoth, because it
So
will
that
take
he can
he can travel the world and get another town and start doing the same again, because that's what he does. However, no, it's the city. It's just actually got this mold that chases you down the street. And when I would not go anywhere near this TV series. The books, unfortunately, have been tainted for me because of this TV series. So,
And I will give this, and I will broadcast
if
this.
you're reading the books,
Sorry to jump ahead. Emergency signal. Rosamund Pike is now doing the narration of the audiobooks on Audible, but the original audiobooks, you may have to go to Tortuga and go yar to find the originals, but it is a man and a woman reading them, and they do it in fantastic tandem with each other. So when it's the female part of the story, because it's yin and yang, just like the one source, women can touch this part, men can touch this part of the source. Together, they're very powerful. Alone, they have power, just not as powerful, which is why the audiobook, when it's read by the man and the woman in audiobook format, gives even more strength to that thing. So I would say go and get the audiobooks before the only thing you can get is Rosamund Pike's version. And she's likely going to completely butcher the whole thing because she wants to try and match it to the TV series.
Yeah, and actually, the reason they did that with the song, they had to, because they had to get her to explain about the old blood. But in effect, it's irrelevant to their story because she's already said it once. We'll go to the two rivers, the old blood runs thing there. So all the explanation, the reason the explanation was said in the books was to actually help encourage the village to stand where they were and remember that if these were going to come back, yous can do it because yous can stand and fight. So it was a rallying call for the town, and it was a rallying call for the kids to come with her because they were of the old blood and they had that type of courage built into them because of their ancestry. That's what that was. And here, she says it for no reason. She tells them for no reason.
Exactly. Allow me a couple of seconds. I just have my Amazon delivery just arriving.
No problem. So I'll run through the 1 or 2 wee bits anyway, talking about it. I'll go through the chat. Not sure taking the dagger releases the whatever it was. The thing is, in the book, Matt, his excuse for not telling Moiraine that he had the dagger is he wasn't given it by Mordeth. She says, "Did he give you anything?" And they all said no. So she was fine. It was only later on, Matt, the dagger has got a taint on it, which taints him. However, he never told Moiraine because he'd picked it up to look at it, and then there was all the lights went out, and he just so happened he was still holding it when they ran. So the way he looked at it is he didn't steal it, he just had it. But the thing is, in the book, Mordeth takes them down to a treasure room so they can see all the things to help him, and then they could take some out as well. Because they'd aged the characters and made Matt effectively a thieving bass, that they could not show him that because there was no way he would hold back because he would try and steal stuff. Whereas in the book, he wasn't a thief, he was a bit of a trickster. Here they've got him as a thieving git. So if Mordeth was in and showed him the jewelry, he would have stolen some of it anyway. So it would have defeated the purpose. That's why he had to sort of stow it around. But the fact is, because Mordeth's know that there, the dagger means nothing. So they're going to actually say the dagger because where it comes from. But nobody handed it. He just basically found it. So he took it. It's not as if he stole it. He didn't. He found it. It was lying there. So it's basically in the book, it's all tied with Mordeth trying to give him the dagger and try to get him to take it out. He takes it out not knowing that he's done wrong because he didn't get handed it, which Moiraine implied, did he give you something? Whereas he just had it in his hand when they ran. So he didn't steal it. He just ended up with it, and then it started seeping in and made him very untrustworthy, sorry, or paranoid, which is what destroyed Shadar Logoth. Not got any plans to watch it, anything made the current day. Do not blame you, and I'm regretting this type of program. Normally I'd be watched 3 or 4 times throughout the week. Once watch it. I don't even watch it twice, just in case. Can't imagine it. Well, see, you imagine Lord of the Rings. If people had watched that, hadn't read Tolkien, I can imagine a good few Tolkien books after the Jackson films were quite popular. They started selling more. This one, anybody who picks even the first book up gets by the first or second chapter will see how different it is. And it is so different in the first chapter. The prologue is all about the destruction of and the taint and stuff like that. So that explains that. The second one, where it's all about Rand and Matt and Perrin and how they get taken. So that is so different from the first one. If people pick up that book, I can't imagine them actually saying, well, I can't wait for season 2, or I no way am I reading this book, because it's the two of them are so different.
Yes, this is, if you make a TV adaptation of anything, imagine if Doctor Who was just books and they started making it and did it this badly, and you picked up the books because you thought, oh, this kind of looked like an interesting story.
Yeah.
And then you pick up the book and it's like, what I'm reading is not what's on the screen. And that's unfortunately what's happening with the Wheel of Time. It's nothing, absolutely nothing, if any one of you have seen it, has anything to do with Wheel of Time. It has to name.
I'll give you the example, right? Because Colin's asked, who is Mordeth, right? Shadar Logoth, right? You go in, Lan has said this was the place it was going to send to Manethero, but they didn't. They built a wall around themselves, and then when somebody went, there was nobody there because they destroyed themselves or whatever. However, in the book, he explains that there was an advisor to the king called Mordeth. He turned up and he had the ear of the king, and he sort of suggested that they need to bolster their own defense. He's not going out to help somebody because the Trollocs are going to get them. So he
He's not exactly a Grima Wormtongue.
No, but
basically,
he's basically trying. He convinces them that they have to look out for themselves. So they basically not so much lock themselves in, like they've said in the he convinces them, and it's his influence that turns people very paranoid, and it's that paranoia that seeps into the building, and basically people were paranoid against family and friends, and it caused them to die. So basically they effectively became like a taint on the earth, and the effect they basically says the city just rotted away, as in the people were so angry. Nothing lives there now because of the evil sparked off by Mordeth. He was the one that actually, you imagine 1930s Germany, you've got a small group of people, right? So one very charismatic person who convinces everybody else that all these things are the right thing to do. It's only afterwards when everybody else looks in and go, how the hell could they murder X million people and do this to certain people
it's
and
the
do
same.
that?
First they came for X people, and
Aye,
then they
but
came for Y
we're
people,
talking
and then
about
they came for
Mordeth.
Z people, but I
Yeah.
didn't care because I was not one of
Yeah,
them.
but the thing is, with the Mordeth character, I'm just trying to put an analogy with the Mordeth. It's the fact is one person can influence other people without them realizing that they're now, as Webb Webb and Mitchell and Webb said, are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies now?
But it's that type of thing. So Mordeth was just someone who had the tongue, and he basically managed to twist everybody's idea of what the right thing to do was, to the point where they became not so much evil, but they became so twisted that it seeped into the stones. That's why Sadar Logoth is cursed.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we get nothing on that.
I read Jurassic Park long before the films. I've never read them. I did enjoy the films past any slight alterations. That's the difference. If they take the movie and adapt it properly, well, that's the difference. Lord of the Rings was an adaptation of Tolkien. Wheel of Time is based on the book. That is it. It's not an adaptation. It's based on. So
No. I will have to say completely no. They've taken the names of the individuals and the locations.
That's what they mean by based on. They've got names, locations, and sort of wee bit of the story. If it's an adaptation, they take the story, they change wee bits here and there to make it fit into a movie. But when they say it's based on is very loosely based on. So they've got the same character names, they've got the same locations or similar locations, and they've got a very streak outline of the story. That's what they mean. When they say it's based on, they don't mean it's an adaptation of the books.
So sorry, the closest I can ever get to saying that they based it on, they stole a couple of names. They looked at the front page of the book. That's all they've done with Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen adaptations where they tried and failed to bring a book into a film or a comic book into a film. I mean, take Spawn for an example. I love Spawn as an action film, Standalone, it's fantastic, but doesn't ever really follow Spawn the comic.
Of course not. But the thing is, you can do that with a lot. They take them and they adapt them. So they try and make it as near to the comic or the book based on what they can do in a TV show with the money they've got. This is not an adaptation of the book. This is basically somebody's got cliff notes. Somebody sat there and says, well, you've got these characters and he's a wolf. The wolves, he can suddenly start talking to wolves. He gets a dagger and he suddenly does this. He's this and she's this and she could do this and she's this and she could do this. Oh, and there's the Aes Sedai, then you've got the White Cloaks. The White Cloaks think they're all witches and right, so witches, right? So we need to show that. So one of them will get burned at the stake, and that's where the based on. It's based on somebody telling them what they think it's about.
I mean, the one thing the TV show hasn't got wrong, although they're going, oh, you're touching our magic source, you make it filthy.
Yes,
that's extremely wrong. But the fact that women are the only ones that can actually wield the magic power, which makes them more powerful than kings and queens. It's something that this TV show is completely missing out. And I'm actually just going on what episode 1 and 2 is still telling. And I'm actually wondering how are they going to build in something like Camelin and Tomor, whatever the next village, because obviously the story has to move on. They can't stay in Camelin forever, so they have to move on. The next one they actually come to, but this time Rand, Matt, and Perrin, even though they have three separate,
it was Whitebridge they went to. It was Whitebridge was after. But see, there's another thing, right? See, when they split up, remember in the book, they were splitting up and Perrin and Egwene got split from the rest. Mm-hmm. What did Rand shout? When the two of them try to come over, Moiraine said to them, don't cross the thingy. What did Rand shout? In the book, Rand says, go, we'll find you. I will find you. Right?
Yep.
What happened in the TV show? Who shouted that?
No.
Egwene shouts to Rand, who's very wimpy at this moment, go, I will find you. So she shoos him off. And her and Perrin go a different way.
But the thing is, and again, I'm actually cold sweating now because you've already predicted the dragon is going to be either Egwene or Nynaeve.
But sorry, have you ever seen Foundation? I've not seen that one. I've not read the books or read anything.
I've not seen Foundation, but I did read Foundation books from Asimov. Wow, probably 30 years ago now.
See, I've not read it, and so
it is worth a read. It's definitely worth a read.
And when it's not only people who have read and watched the TV first has this, the first episode tainted my books for me because every time I listened to it or picked up a book, I saw them, and it basically ruined it because you always have a picture when you're reading. Like I read Bernard Cornwell's Sharp stuff, and I had an idea. So when Sean Bean and the one that plays Harper was cast, to me, Harper was a bit. He was very good. It looked like it, but unfortunately, Sean Bean was slightly too small because to me, Harper and Sharp were very similar builds, heights, but Harper was a big, broad guy. Whereas in comparison to Sean Bean, the guy that plays Harper's big. So it sort of works, but it didn't matter. It didn't match quite well. But Hagman was good, and the other characters sort of worked here and there.
Sharp is a good comparison where They did not actually try to just completely bury the Sharp story. They tried
They tried
to
it.
find what they could to make it
Yeah,
happen. But
they
as you
put down,
pointed out, it was supposed to be an entire battalion, and
instead, and
it is just
they
a
had
couple
it
of
as a
guys.
company. They had a company, but that's the thing I'm saying. So the Sharp one, at least the characters sort of, they tried to actually match their personality and stuff like that. However, I always had a particular, like Perrin. Perrin was a blacksmith, so he was built like a brick shit house. He didn't look just a wee teeny bit taller and broader. He was built, could have been shorter, but he was built because he had the arms, because
Yeah,
he'd been
definitely
using. And then you've got Moiraine. She was quite petite and well groomed, and the
regal,
lady.
royal looking.
Exactly. And yes, Lan was a towered over her. He was this powerful fighting man.
But
Then
not
you
only
had,
that, the thing, and this is where I know your description. I agree with it fully, but Lan should feel scary. Lan should feel like you don't know where you have him. You know that he follows Moraine, and if you read the books, and now we're literally jumping in, even in TV show terms, this is like season 7 when you start getting more the relationship between them. But he's tall, he's scary, he looks like, when he's unsheathing his sword,
yeah,
he knows what he's doing,
yeah.
and he's dangerous.
Do you
Full
know?
stop, no ifs but whatsoever.
I'm a wee bit confused. So was he still there, and when the party arrived in the books?
Um,
I'm not entirely sure what that refers to, Colin.
I'm not sure, but the main people, even in the TV show, yes, they are the correct formation, so to speak, to the books.
Yeah,
It is Egwene, it's Rand, it's Perrin, it's Matt,
yeah.
it's
And
Moraine, it's
unfortunately,
Lan.
uh-huh,
That is correct.
yeah. And unfortunately, when they're not actually taking our mod and changing them to fit, they're taking out modern mythology and destroying it for their
Yes.
own ends. They're not trying to change it to make it fit. They're trying to change it to destroy it.
No, they're
It's the reason
changing
why.
it completely, full
That's
stop.
why I said it's going to be Nynaeve or Egwene who are going to be the dragon. To me, it's going to be Nynaeve because they've given her Rand's backstory.
Yeah.
The
But
backstory of
it's
him
not
being brought
going to
in by.
work with the books because Nynaeve has an amazing story arc. The same with Egwene, the same with Matt, the same with Perrin.
Mm-hmm.
But Rand, spoiler alert, press mute for 5 seconds.
Yep, hold on. Colin,
Rand,
Tara, thank you for joining us.
Rand is the dragon. And he's even being called by his ancient old name from the last turning of the wheel. The first time they blow the horn, they just go, "Oh, you look a bit different, Lewis, but it's still you."
Yeah, but there's a few of them that call him that anyway throughout. But in the book, Ran, you find out at Winter's Night when there's the big battle, and Tam gets wounded and gets taken to the village overnight with Rand dragging him, trying to actually get him by all the Trollocs, and he's got a fever dream. So he talks, and he talks about when they found Rand,
Yes.
and in the middle of a battle at the in the aftermath of a battle, one of the maidens had given birth, and the baby was there. So he took her. He took the baby to
Maiden
his
might
wife.
not be the accurate
Yeah.
terminology for it, but I get
Yeah.
what you mean.
But he takes the baby to his wife, who is an outlander, and they take Rand home, and they just tell everybody that it is Tam and his wife who's an outlander. That's why Rand looks different, because it's his wife is not a local. She's from Outland because he'd gone out of the Two Rivers. What have they done? Did they mention anything like that about Rand? No. Who did they talk about being adopted and didn't know her parents?
That's the
Nynaeve.
thing with the hyperdiversity as well. It's they want the blacks and the ginger and purple and orange and everything. They're trying to bake it into the village, whereas you should have kept Emmonsfield. If everybody looked like Perrin does in the TV show, fantastic. Darker skin, curly hair, all of that stuff, wherever that region comes from. Because this is Emmonsfield. It's one race. They get visitors once a year. That's all. There is no reason that there is a pitch black, charcoal black guy and a crystal white ginger haired guy in the same village, because that's not what it is. They're so far outside of important considered areas or travel or anything. Everyone in Emmonsfield should look the same except for Rand. There shouldn't be much difference between what they look like, because that is why he's standing out. And this is why the backstory of him, when he drags his father through the forest after the attack on Winter's Night, is where he's suddenly going, oh, hang on. Am I an orphan found on the slope of a mountain in the middle of winter after massive battle? And the wife of Tam, she's an outsider as well, which, yes, it does explain a little bit of like, okay, there's a discrepancy here, but neither of them are the biological father or mother of Rand. And you figure that out really easily just reading literally the first 6 chapters of the book.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's the way they changed it. I've said earlier on, Rand is meant to have stood out. When I first saw the trailer, he looked as if he stood out because you had a lot of them. They had dark hair, they had a darker skin, and it stood out until I saw the first episode when you're seeing around the wine spring in, and they're all the colours of the rainbow, and you're sitting there thinking he doesn't stand out. Yes,
He doesn't stand out.
But there's a lot of people with grey hair.
This is the opportunity they, pardon the French word here, fucking missed. The entire world of Wheel of Time,
but the thing is they can't do that now.
Diverse. You come to a new city, there is like African black people, American black people, Chinese, Japanese, Indian, whatever it is, in each of these cities. And it's literally like you come to a new city, and one city, superior technology, wondrous construction, artist, creative, and it gives so much credence to each and everything of the races that you come across.
But unfortunately, the woke culture nowadays can't have that, because every city has got every culture in it. So there is no culture. There's only one culture, and everybody's in it. And that's what they have to do. Hence the reason why it does not work. So
I'm one of those that say Emmonsfield, they're supposed to be extremely homogeneous, Italian looking, Scandinavian looking, whatever looking. They had one trait that made Rand stand out from them. They did not look like Rand. I don't care what
Yeah, but that
what epithet you want to bring in and make
that's
that's the
exactly what it
village.
should have been. But the thing is, nowadays, these modern nutcases who try and write are basically can't, because they can't actually say, "Oh well, this is a culture." What do you mean? There's that culture would have is from this group? No, no, no. There's no such thing as a group. Everybody's the same, so you would have everybody in there. It doesn't work, but they can't write it, because if they do, then everything they've said we all are, because there's traits from a different group of people. They can't. They would be hounded out by their friends, and that's the point. They're not doing it because they believe it. They're doing it because they're scared to actually say they believe it.
No, they're not even scared. They are scoring social media
Oh
points.
no, they're scored points, but they know fine well if they don't, they'll get cancelled. So they're scared. They're scared to actually say you need him to stand out. So if he's white, then everybody else has to. No, that's not how it works. Everybody's the same, and we can tell you somebody stands out even though they look identical to some of the other people. It does not work in that respect. But
This is where I think we are losing so much in.
oh,
It's lost in translation. When I was 4, 5 years old, being at daycare when my parents dropped me off, old enough to kind of like, okay, yes, a childminder or whatever. We had an amazing lady from China, not the Chinese lady. She was actually from China, and we were bringing in our comic books, just like Hulk and Iron Man and Superman and everything. She just went, sorry, I grew up 60 years ago. We had our elders telling us stories about this Ronin. Ronin is the wrong thing because that's kind of Japanese, but I'm using Ronin. It's like a dishonored soldier, but it's a soldier nevertheless that is still honorable. He just doesn't have his master anymore. Again, it's more Japanese as I've grown up to understand it. But when she was describing this hero that she heard 50 years before I was born, it was he took his sword and it was raining. He didn't need an umbrella. He just took his sword and he just cut the droplets out of the sky. And therefore, he was perfectly safe. He didn't get wet. He could walk through like a tropical storm. Everything. He just went, and she just went, "Oh, you think Hulk is so amazing? I know the Hulk. He's strong. The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. No, my hero is better." And I found that very endearing, but also, hang on. Not only does she know about our heroes, she's bringing her heroes from her youth into our lives. And I wish I've read or found more of the Chinese, shall we say,
see, the
old
thing is,
school.
there is no any new stories. These stories have always been around. It's just to get told in a different way.
Exactly.
Every culture's got their heroes. Indian
Exactly.
culture, you've got African culture, you've got Chinese culture, you've got Japanese, you've got Asian culture, you've got Arabic culture. Every one of them have got their heroes. There's a lot. That's why, like, you even look at the Bible when they're talking about the flood, right?
Yep.
And Noah. Throughout time, there's other places have had a flood
Hmm.
according to their religious teachings. The thing is that the times might have been different. Some of them are around about the same time, but they all have that, which they reckon there was is because it's stories of a flood that has been told within their religious text, and it's been brought into it, and they've brought it into the one. So you've got a lot of the similar stories in a lot of the religious texts. They believe that's based on a triggered event that they interpreted a particular way, but it's all the flood myth or all the like the Sodom and Gomorrah. They reckon that was it a meteor strike? Did it? And then you've got the Indian ones and stuff like that. But there's a lot of different ones, but they've all got heroes in them. They've all got villains. Nowadays they want you to root for the villain, which in the Wheel of Time I'm actually rooting for the dark one.
Oh, Shaitan.
Yeah.
Please let him destroy every
Oh yes, I
single
am rooting for the dark one. So basically, if the dark one comes out, if I'm still watching it, that's the one I'll be wanting to win. And it's simple fact.
Let's be brutally honest. I am suffering quite a lot. I do not think, because I know how much you love Wheel of Time, you will not start season 2. Season 2 is already in production, but I know.
Well, I know it is. Basically,
you won't touch it.
Even if it turns crap.
Turns? Really?
And for the normies, if it turns crap for the normies and they stop watching it, it would still get it because it's the Batman, it's the Batwoman effect. Because
a genuine
woman in
question
charge
to the normies, and I know Archer's dropped out, and he's confessed I haven't read the book.
Niles Wend.
If you're watching this TV show, can you tell me why, when the heroic party is going away from Emmons Field, why does Perry need to be there? Why does Matt? Why does Rand need to be there? The only one the TV show has actually given a reason to leave is Egwene. They've actually just went, Nani couldn't care less. Let her do whatever she wants. But Perrin, Rand, and Matt, they have no purpose in the TV show being there.
The town it got attacked. That was it. There was no singling them out. Yeah, in the books they were singled out.
Yeah.
But yeah. And even at the end of this episode when Nynaeve turned up, what's the first thing she did? Very manly. Knife at his throat. I'll slit your throat if you don't tell me where they are. Basically.
No, not slight throat. I'll kill you.
But it's the fact
it's extreme arrogance.
Yes. It's not only the extreme arrogance, her, when she dealt with it in the book, it was a case of, he doesn't know I'm here. He's the hunter, he's the warrior, and I've outfoxed him. It was Nynaeve, it was Egwene, Moiraine. It found the fact that they've actually injured Moiraine and had the White Cloak saying that she should go and see an Aes Sedai. I was annoyed at. Are you comfy, bud? Are you comfy?
Are you doing all right there, buddy? Hey, buddy.
Just hey, come here. Say hi. Say hi.
Oh, there he is. Oh,
right, come on. So
looking absolutely gorgeous.
He knows it. That's his problem. But the thing is, okay, Benji. Right, hold on a wee second.
You got the second one coming up now.
I've got the second one coming up because he's getting the thing. So I will flick to that. Hey, boys. Right, come here.
Are you making them sound like they're really heavy? They're tiny puppies.
No, they're no. This one's a beefy thing. Benji's beefier than he looks. So yes, he is a big beef. So yes.
Oh, they definitely want the attention.
For Yorkies, he's a big beefy. So yes. Right, on you go. Go and lie down. Come here, you. Right. Oh.
I have a feeling in five minutes they'll be snoring in whatever.
On their chair. There's their chair there. That's their bed. That's where they'll be sleeping. Right. As you can see, ladies and gents, I've actually messed around with my setup. So I've got my 2 cameras working.
The only thing I managed so far, I don't have 2 cameras because obviously I had a flickering thing, and I believe it's the USB port. So I only have the 1 camera, but I do apologize. I might push the wrong button, but I do have a 9-key pad that is supposed to be tied in, which is why my camera is no longer flickering, because I do better streaming. It's buffering on my computer, so I'm like half a second later. So what I say is slightly late, but I press a button and it will do a little bit of magic. Obviously, I just got the dirt cheap terminology or like frames, but I can do this. And it's actually not working, which is really scary. Let me actually check the setup. Oh, it's because I'm locked on the setup. But
well, I've actually got the other camera up and running.
Yeah, it should be changing between start and pausing and everything. And it happened during the last stream, but I didn't mean it to happen.
Well, that's him on his bed.
As I told you, they'd be there in less than 5 minutes.
Buddy's away, but Benji's actually lying sleeping, so yes. So
I'm slightly disappointed that the buttons didn't work, but
it's one of those things. It's a case of, it took me, same idea. It took how long it took me to get my wee sound thing. It was just a case of tweak, just to actually get it working. Yes, but
it took forever for me to get that one working.
That's what I'm saying. It did the same for me. It took me ages to get mine's working, which is not plugged in at the moment. I tested it, but I've unplugged it because
I still have, but I do have to check it again. So I think whenever you say your favorite film, I'm supposed to press this button. I can't hear it.
I can. See, that's why I've got the setting headphones in. So this is plugged into my soundboard, so I can hear what's happening in the soundboard. So I can hear what's saying, whereas I've got my speakers for what's happening round about. And if I had plugged a set of headphones in, I would have to have 2 headphones in, one for that and one for that.
You see, I have to rely on these.
See, I've got mine set up so my speakers don't pick up, my mic doesn't pick up my speakers.
I tried that, but I realized because I'm sitting literally in a 5.1 surround sound system, because this chair is so comfortable. I just go, and then I just watch a film or a TV show.
Well,
but when I'm working, I'm obviously like pressing my back.
That's why I like my chair, because it's all tangled up at the moment. Why is it all tangled up? But mine's is the vibrating and massage chair.
Oh, look at you being all posh and everything.
Yeah, basically I just sit back there. But
it's weird. It makes a lot of noise, but you're just leaning back and you're just going, oh God, this is...
I never said that, Wend, at all.
To be fair to PJ, he has so far this evening, to my recollection, actually not even used accidentally even them.
Yeah. Is that a stormtrooper ship? A Santa Claus one?
Put me on the full screen and you'll see. Yeah,
you should have actually, you kept that for the Saturday stream.
Oh, I got more than these. It's the Stormtrooper Christmas Carol.
Yes,
And
when I did think it. But yeah, I changed my setup, especially with my second camera, just for the simple fact is, yeah, it's a wee bit, it goes a wee bit whoop out, but it was to give the whole setup of that one side of the wall. You can even, I could actually do it so it shows the top, but the problem is, if I do that, I'm a wee down here, so I'm. So that's why, although it looks, I could have actually did it that way, so you see my Judge Dredd outfit or stuff over there. You can see my Judge Dredd stuff, but it's a wee bit in dark, so I decided just to have it so I'm sort of centered, but it gives a bit more of a view of my setup. And then obviously, if I want to be a wee bit more intimate with the audience, I can go high type thing.
how you doing?
How you do it? But I must admit, let's go back. This episode wasn't as bad because I managed to do it in one sitting. Couldn't watch it a second time. No way, no how could I watch it a second time.
Mm-hmm.
However, it was easier to watch than the first episode. The first episode was a lot worse because it was just not very. Maybe because I had seen the trailer and it didn't look as bad as I had feared. So it gave me a wee bit of hope.
The trailer is, for once, I can actually go. I would actually have a legal claim. You told me this is your product and showed me something completely different. You delivered something absolutely not what you promised it was going to be.
Yep.
This is the first one, but I'm actually starting to wondering. I'm a big fan of Wheel of Time, Dragon Reborn, Robert Jordan. I love the books. The way they fucked it up, pardon the language, it's so far off the mark. And I'm not joking. I'm not like exaggerating.
Do you know they're going to mess up as well? I can guarantee it now. Right? They're not going to have Rand as the dragon, which means there's not going to be the relationship with Avienda, Elaine, and Min.
Lanfear?
No, I'm talking about there's not going to be a relationship between Avienda, Elaine, and Min, because the three of them share Rand, remember?
Yes.
Lanfear, she'll be in it because they'll have a woman's allowed to be a baddie. The guys will be in it. The Forsaken, most of them will be in it. They're guys, so they're allowed to be evil.
Yeah, you see, I think Lanfear is going to be completely omitted because she's the woman of the Forsaken.
Yeah.
But she's going to be completely omitted. It's going to be all the other ones.
No, the difference is she'll be the strongest one. She'll be the one that will do more damage because these evil guys can be bad, but they'll not be allowed to do certain things, whereas they will allow Lanfear to do it. So if
no, you give them far too much credit.
I give them credit as in she's a woman, she'll be allowed to be strong. The male Forsaken will be allowed to be evil, but not strong.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think you give them far too much credit. It is.
Yeah.
It's not going to be
right.
they're bad because they're Forsaken. It's going to be they're bad because they're men.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They'll be allowed to be evil because they're men. However, they'll not be allowed to be strong because they're men. Lanfear will be allowed to be evil. She'll be allowed to be evil because she decided to. she'll be allowed to be strong because she's a woman. However, she'll be allowed to do things that other ones wouldn't. So even though there's she's one of the Forsaken, she's not the most powerful one. She's one of the ones they called her the spider because she sat in the webs and dealt. She basically pulled all the strings.
Lanfear is definitely clever. You cannot discard that fact from the book. Lanfear is really clever. She's like, she knows what she's doing every single time, every single second of the day. She knows what she's doing.
And she knows her limits to it as well.
Exactly. She's very good at being calculated in her actions, whereas the others is going, oh, so I'm a really strong Forsaken one. I will kill you. And then this Rand is going, oh, I was scared. But no, go away. And then suddenly he just nukes him from the planet. Rand discovered his power by accident. But he, in that accident, nukes a Forsaken, one of the 12 Forsaken, from history. Not just kill him, he nukes him from history.
No, he doesn't nuke him from history. He destroys him from the pattern.
Yes.
The balefire actually, it'll destroy someone from the pattern, which means they can't be reborn, or the Dark One can't have access to their soul because it's no longer there.
It's sort of what I meant, but that this is where the complexity of the wheel turning and the wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
Yes.
It's a really difficult. It's like a quadruple W starting word.
The wheel weaves.
It is still literally. He's just going snip. You cannot come back into this formation of the next stage, which is what the wheel is doing. It's forming to move toward the next stage.
But that's what I'm saying. It's just a case of, unlike the last one, which I gave it a negative number, this one I would give it a 0. Not as bad, still crap, but not as bad as the first episode.
But still, a 0 is literally you giving it a 10 out of a 10 compared to the last rating you gave.
Because the other one was definitely a negative because it was so bad. This one, at least it was watchable. The scenery was absolutely amazing. Inside Shadar Logoth looked great. When they ruined it they were in and out of it so quickly. The way Matt found the dagger, which was counterproductive to anything, it means nothing because he found it, so it means nothing.
I paused the whole more that story and everything.
The mold chasing him was just farcical.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
it's supposed to be a mist, and it's not supposed to be malicious. It's just supposed to be. It's creeping after you. And this is where I think they got it wrong, which is why they visually portrayed it as a mold creeping on the floor. No, it's a mist. But it's not hunting you. It's just flowing through the city.
Yeah.
And if you get caught, then you have a very bad day. Probably the worst day in your life, or at the end of your life. But the mist is supposed to be a mist, not like mold that you have on the tomato you left in your fridge for 2 days too long.
The thing is as well, the fact is the way they did it with a horse to show it. Sorry, that's what the Trollocs were there for, because the Trollocs didn't get driven in. Because they were actually saying that the Trollocs are scared stiff of this. And it takes
that's another thing that is being missed. It's the fade.
The fade
is really scary to the Trollocs.
But that's the point. In Shadar Logoth, it was a case of it took, 2 or 3 fades to drive a couple of fists of Trollocs in. Normally, you could have one fade to a couple of fists, but it took 2 or 3 fades for a fist of Trollocs.
But
And
so
they
far, we
said-
only have one fade.
But they said was what drove the fade to do it, because the fades were as terrified of Shadar Logoth as the Trollocs. So if the Trollocs had to be driven in by a fade, what drove the fade, which is implying there's wash out there, but you get no Trollocs, no fades inside Shadar Logoth. So that
Exactly. And this is the thing I think the TV show missed so well. Trollocs, bad, dangerous, scary,
still I need
tall,
the armor.
mean looking, they will kill you. Fades, even worse. They drive Trollocs, they control Trollocs, they tell where Trollocs go. Shadar Logoth, even Fades going, okay, we'll go there. But they have a driving power behind them, just going, Shadar Logoth, you go. But it should be that, and this is what's missing completely from the TV show. It's Robert Jordan played it really well, even though they're the bad guys. They weren't just the bad guys. They will AK-47, shoot you or whatever.
The thing is, I still think the Trollocs don't work because the Trollocs need armor. They're not just a bunch of bears. That's effectively, they've just got them as a bunch of...
They're not werewolves running like 170 miles an hour through a forest all the time. This is what they're missing completely. The Trollocs are just biological beings, just like a human. They need rest. They can do a 50-mile march in a day, but then they need 8 hours of sleep. They're not running like werewolves through the forest. This is completely where the TV show has lost the plot at all.
They've lost the
Trollocs
plot.
aren't.
They've not read the book. That guy, Raffi, or whatever his name is, he decided...
No, it's Rosamund Pike. She's an executive producer.
Yeah,
She
but the
signed
guy
off
who
to
wrote
saying,
it, also the guy
is-
who wrote it, that Raffi, he's the one that says we're going to age them up, we're going to change this, we're going to... He's the one that actually adapted it. So he's the one that's actually decided, see what Robert Jordan did? He did it wrong. I'm going to fix it.
but I don't know where I got the information from, but I think it's from Vera Dark of Dark Titan Enterprises. She said, I never read the books or anything, but she brought up an article bounding into comics or wherever it came from. Just saying the main guy behind it, it's just when, well, I know this isn't true. We just wanted to make a little bit of Game of Thrones.
Oh, I did. They
in.
wanted it to be the next Game of Thrones.
No. I hate it because I've read the game. It's not Game of Thrones. It's like story of his
Ice and
Fire and
Fire.
Ice, Ice and Fire, whatever it was called. There is no sex. There's violence. There's backstabbing and stuff like that. But tons of naked ladies.
Of course not, because
that's not in the book.
That's what
That's
I said.
only the TV show.
That's what I told you previously. They only put it in to get people to watch it. If they had thought it was going to be successful, they would have stuck to the books. They didn't. So they thought people need to watch it. So what will we do? Yep. Everybody take their clothes off. And the way after it is successful, all the actors and actresses turn around and say, I don't want to do it again. No, they said, fine. We've already got the audience, so you don't need to do it again. If that was still struggling, do you think they would have actually said, no problem? Because they want to be on screen, they want to be famous, so they'll show whatever they need to show. But as soon as they've got the fame, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. And it's that's
that's
you look at Helen Mirren.
I don't dislike Emilia Clarke, because she actually has been in fairly decent non-fantasy. Well, you could call it fantasy. I think there is one film where she's a caring nurse of a terminal patient in a wheelchair. I don't recall what it is, but she doesn't have to show nudity or anything, but she's in this film because she just went no clothing, walking into a bath, big fantasy production TV show. She would never have been picked for that role. Any other woman on the planet could easily have covered that. And this is what I hate about it is I'm one that's definitely preferred the female shapes and everything, and showing it full on or discreetly. If you take people like Eva Green or Sophie Marceau, I know they're mainly French stuff, but these ladies had no issues being with clothes or without clothes. Eva Green and I believe even Sophie Marceau both have been Bond ladies as well.
But that's what I'm saying.
But
You
but,
look
but
at
it
even
is
actresses who are very well known. Helen Mirren, she did it throughout her career because she didn't think it was a big deal. She didn't
exactly.
suddenly she didn't hit the highlight and go, "I'm not doing it anymore."
Exactly. This is where I dislike it when it comes to, say, Emilia Clarke. She went, oh, I was 18 years old. I'm looking the prime of life. Now I'm 30, 35 years old, whatever. Nope, never doing it again. Just going.
One of the movies which
I was never curious about you being without clothing. It was your acting that I wanted. And this is where I was bringing up Eva Green and Sophie Marceau, because they have talent with or without clothing.
it's the same again with a movie because they'll come out with a movie starring so and so. Oh, and she takes her clothes off. So that's the part you're wanting people to hear. Not the fact is the story's about this and it's this and this and this. It's so and so starring in it, and she takes her clothes off. We don't care. Tell us the fucking story.
Exactly, and I even have that with the lady's name. She's super famous. She's like drinking the bloods and everything. She played Lara Croft and all that.
Angelina Jolie.
Yes, tons of nakedness and everything. But one of the most impressive film I've seen her act in is when she's doing a biopic of a famous supermodel or whatever you want to call her. She was known to like no clothes, throw everything off, whatever, take my pictures and all that. Very dysfunctional life. But the fact that she portrayed that role, she did all the no clothes on whatsoever. But I was so impressed by the acting delivered.
You can guarantee this season is going to do that because they want to be the next Game of Thrones. So there's going to be, once the chase is over, you're going to see a lot more of that. There's going to be a lot more bath scenes. There's going to be a lot more intimate scenes.
But where they are at the moment, and sorry to spoil, they have not gone out of the first chase.
Of course not.
They're still hunted. They haven't even reached Camelin.
That's what I'm saying. They rushed it ahead and then they stalled it. It's by the sounds of it. The fact is, you're on 2 episodes of an 8 episode season, and in effect, nothing's changed. You're still there's the Trollocs attacked. That's episode 1. Oh, Shadow Logo. That's episode 2. Oh, this is episode 3. It's not a case of this is what happens on the journey. So it could happen at any point along the journey, but it's a case of, right, Shannon Logath, we need to do this now. Next week, we're going to do that. Next week, we're going to do this. Next week, we're going, and it's that. It's a case of, what's the hook? What's the hook? Right, to get the fans in, Shannon Logath. To get the fans in, you're going to do Whitebridge. To get the fans in, you're going to do the ways. To get the fans in, you're going to do this. But people who don't watch, they've never read the book, don't know about them, or them, they'll come in for make sure they're naked. But the fans you want to get in, so you need to mention these things, and that's what it is. They mention them and then they basically twist them.
Something that really crushed me is the Tuatha, the people
The
of the
Tuatha
Leaf.
on my air.
Yeah, the people of the Leaf. They could. I know I'm spoiling the next episode for you.
Can't
But
spoil.
they considered chumps. Holy crap! This is an entire culture within this entire world.
Of course.
And they don't believe in violence. They believe in peace. They believe that they are on a mission to look for the song.
Everybody should be like. So basically, when they see people who are like that, then they're useless. They treat them like useless. They make them act useless. They act stupid.
But Tuatha are not useless.
But no, that's what I'm saying. The people who write this, these are these nutcases are the ones that saying everybody should be like this. Everybody should see with the world without violence. Right, we've got a group that sees the world without violence. Okay, right, they're all thick. That's the people who write this. That's what it is. It's a case of if they don't see violence as a means to an end, then they must be thick. Because they say that's what they want, but they realise that's what they do. They use violence. They're the ones that use Black Lives Matter. They're the ones that use Antifa. They're the ones that use basically get everybody all stoked up to use violence. And that's the point. They say one thing, and then when they get someone who they want to be, they say everybody should be like, then they make them act like thickles and nuts and crazies. Because... Yeah. That's not how they are. They're the brainy ones. They're the ones that use violence to get what they want. But you shouldn't. So this is you. This is the Athayan Meyer are you. That's what they want. Use are all thick. Do what you're told, and just don't do anything. If somebody attacks you, don't.
That's what the TV shows. Whatever a woman tells you, do it. You're useless. You scum. You're filthy. You have no. But it doesn't just translate to men or boys. It actually translates through to children.
Of course.
So girls and boys, it's just like, you don't follow what I say. You're shit. You're crap. You're useless. And this is not what you should. Okay, I'm not the father, but you keep telling me. Is you had 3 sisters, you have daughters, you've basically been surrounded by ladies your entire life. Would you ever conceive telling them, oh, you're shit, you're useless, you're crap? I do not think so, because your older sisters would have kicked your butt, and your daughters would have given you hell.
What do you mean would have? To this day, they still would.
Yes. But this is what this TV show is doing.
Of course, because you have to treat especially if it's a woman in power or a man, they're allowed to treat you that way. Because the man's bad, but the woman you should be listening to.
No.
But that's what I'm saying. These nutcases do that. But I'm not looking forward to episode 3. I'll be watching that next Sunday. So
by the time you hit that, I'll be on episode 6. I will try to not give you the spoilers, but
but I'm back at work tomorrow and I'm absolutely shattered. It's been a long day because I changed all my room around.
It is true, but
I changed all my room around.
I'm actually feeling bad. I'm running ahead and literally like ripping the plasters off this, like rich, and I'm just going, that fucking hurts. But not like the slow pull kind of thing, which I have a feeling that you are on.
You can just see him in the thing with camera.
Oh, there he is.
He's snoring his nut off.
Your microphone isn't good enough, but you should probably
No, I
mount
know.
like a microphone, the armrest, and just like this is my dog snore.
You just hear him, but basically, he's just lying there. So yes, but the thing is,
Again, I love the idea when we set out on this mission to talk about the Wheel of Time TV shows. I had no idea they were going to go this far off topic.
well, I must admit, I thought that I had reservation based on things I'd seen, and I thought, oh God, it's going to be crap. Then I saw the trailer, and I thought, that's not as bad as I thought, because yes, there's got diversity, but it wasn't overload. So like there's a lot of darker skinned people in, which you need if they were all like that. And then the next one, you've got white people and Asians and all that in the same village. Where does Rand stand out? He's meant to stand out, but
yes. And it is not being excluding, oh, you can't be Chinese or Asian or Middle Eastern or African or Russian or South American. It's just that this village is so far away from everything.
The village.
Literally, they don't meet, they don't mix, they have a distrust. Even the closest village they have, the Tarn Ferry.
Tarn Ferry and Watch Hill.
They hate that because they have a conflict with it. They don't even mingle with the close
they have
village.
A conflict. They just don't trust people from Tarn Ferry because they think they're all thieves. But Watch Hill and Devon Ride, they've obviously all the councils get together. But the thing is, it's nothing to do with just the small area, the villages out and everything. It's the fact is, it's a world where there's no mass transportation. So people are either walking or riding or going ships, right?
It's a major thing this TV show will miss.
Yes,
it takes them a month to get to Camelin.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the fact is there's no traveling. That the traveling would be more like early the Dark Ages, Roman ages, whatever. You didn't have a lot of mixing of cultures, just for the simple fact is you would have armies moving, or you'd have the occasional wagons or traders, but you wouldn't have a mass exodus of people mixing because of the distance.
But it's also part of the legacy of the Two Rivers. Two Rivers is literally at the edge of civilization.
Mm-hmm. But the thing
is, not in the middle of nowhere. It just happens to be a place no one really has a requirement to visit. So you wouldn't get your philanderers, your bastard child. There's like a white traveler, and say that Emmons Field is an African tribe, pitch black people completely, and a white person comes in, flirts with one of the ladies at the inn, and they have a child, but he's a merchant. He just fuck yourself, and you suddenly have a lighter skin. No, Emmons Fields is literally at the end of nowhere. People don't come here by accident. They actually mean to come here. And there are only 2 in the book recorded events of strangers really coming to Emmons Fields. One is Padden Fane, and the second is the mercenary soldier that went to Master Luan asking to have a battle axe made. But when Master Luan crafted that, he said, this is how much money you need to pay me. And the soldier told him, or the guardian of the wagon, he said, sorry, I don't agree to the price. So Master Luan gave that axe to Perrin. Something Perrin has been
so there was traders and merchants coming in and out
prior to the story starting.
Yeah, but No. He gave him it, but within the year in the book. The thing is, he didn't give him it when he was like 10, 11. Because remember that in the books, they're only about 15, 16.
Fair enough, but he didn't give. Parent took. In fairness, parent just took it.
He
and
practiced with it.
Master
He didn't
Luhan
take it. He was messing around with it
slowly
when it was in.
was
He was,
okay with it.
yeah, he was obviously messing around with it. He found it in the hangman. He was messing around with it, and eventually told him to keep it. But the thing is, not Brian Young. I would avoid this. The books are great, but this thing even destroyed my enjoyment of the books because it is that bad. It destroys the books.
Ryan Young,
Brian.
because he has a capitalized R there.
Yeah.
I will say this: if you're an audiobook person, get the books now before Rosamund Pike will read them.
And if she
because
reads
you
them,
will
there'll
not get
there'll be things
anything
edited out
else
of it.
in commercial channels. You may
Yeah.
have to go yo ho and a bottle
But I'm
of
telling
rum.
you, if she starts reading it, you can guarantee things will be edited out. Things that are problematic, because if they talk about women this or men that, they'll be cut out because they don't want to portray that. So I'm not saying that. Okay, we'll cut that part out. It's not really needed for the story. I'm not saying that. Okay, we'll change that to be this, then to be similar, and then they'll start gradually making it like the show, and that's where it will die.
That's just my worry. How are you gonna destroy? Literally go. Oh, I'm doing the audiobook. And the audiobook, literally the 10 first words in the audiobook or the book, the physical, crack it open, smell it. Smell that paper, smell that ink. Hear the crack of the book opening. I'm literally doing a never ending story kind of, you open a book and hear that crack. But literally the 10 first words will destroy completely the TV show. It is that far off the mark. All you have is, oh, hey, it's a nice picture. You got an Asian samurai-looking dude. You got a woman dressed in a blue cape. You got some children following along.
Yeah,
That's what they started the story on.
Yeah,
they didn't read it.
Based on these 2 episodes, it is so far off the books. My favorite of the books are the first 3. I like the first 5, but my favorite books are the first 3 because they just drag you all the way in. After that, even when there were some parts when I had the idea when I heard about it, and I'm thinking, I hope they get rid of this part because Robert Jordan sort of dragged it out a wee bit too much, or they had a wee bit too much there and a wee bit too much there, or these groups didn't really seem to work very well because this other group did the same thing, and it was a case of they could actually mix these 2 together. They could get rid of that. They could change that. So I've not got a concept that things don't change when you do an adaptation for the TV, and sometimes it allows you to tighten things up. So I'm okay with that. However, when they take it and they bastardize it, that's when you actually have to go, nope, no more. So I wouldn't even.
But you're being far too kind.
Brian,
You didn't
what I'm telling
bastardize
you
it.
is, no, but they have. They've bastardized it. They've taken it and they've
bastardizing something is steamrolling someone.
Uh-huh.
They took an idea,
and
a concept, and they just went, oh, it's supposed to go this way. That's what the story said. No. Oh, we heard you have these people and I think we're going to go that way.
Yeah.
They didn't even follow the plot line.
Yeah.
At all.
But, Brian, I definitely, if you like a good story, The Wheel of Time is a good story. I would read it. I would read it. That's what I said. You bloody listen. I said read. I said I would read it.
Story, you said. You didn't say books.
But I said I would read it. The Wheel of Time story is a great story. I would read it prior to watching this. Because if you watch this first, as soon as the characters are mentioned,
I have to vehemently disagree with you.
it's no, but the
Read the
problem is,
books, stay away from the TV
yeah,
show.
but what I'm saying is if you watch this TV show before you read the books, these character names will stick with it. Because as soon as you read the character names, this pish is what pops into your head. And I would say, do not do it. Because I watched it, I was halfway through book 4 and I deleted it from my iPad. I'm not
Exactly
listening
the
to it.
same.
Based on the fact that the first episode last week destroyed it to the point where when I was listening to it, every time they said a character name, I pitched as this crap. And I thought, nope, not listening to this. I need to actually take a step back. That shelf there had all my Wheel of Time stuff on it, and it has been removed. They're in a box out the way, so I don't need to look at them.
And it was in preparation of the TV show coming out.
The books used to be down there, and I moved them up there so they were on camera in preparation for the TV show because I had high hopes. Episode 1, that shelf got cleared and they put in a box. Because my books always used to be sitting down there. So they did. Which, good thing is I can flick and show. So as you can see down there, the camera and the mic, as you can see down there,
Keep showing them.
the books. You can see the books all along there. And then you see, something dropped off my mic. I don't know what it was. I think it was. And you can see all my books there and there. So you can. And down here is another load of books as well. So all my books are down in the bottom shelf. Actually, it's a wee bit low, that one. But something fell off. And there she's there. She fell off my mic. So she did. But anywho, my books were up, but I decided to bring them up so they were prominent, ready for the show. I was hoping the show was going to be really good, and it turned out to be really, really bad. And unfortunately, I would advise you not to touch this pish. Yeah, it's the same idea. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm glad I didn't watch Loki, because I've never been a great fan of Loki. Tom Hiddleston, I thought, played a really good Loki in the Thor movie, but as soon as they actually, I had heard a review and said that, well, basically he's a moose and somebody beats him up and stuff like that, and I thought, yeah, not for me. And I would say, don't do this one. Don't. I would advise you not to touch this one with a barge pole. And anyway, Jim, we're going to finish 2-hour stream. I thought that was quite good, considering I actually didn't feel as bad after watching this episode than I did the last episode, where I spent more time ranting off screen than I did on screen. That's how bad it was. So I'm just waiting for Jim to come back, because he's bugged off, probably away to the loo. I'm blaming that for it. Anyway, ladies and gents, we will be back next Sunday to look at.
There was definitely too much Iron Brew going on this
Yes, So we will be back next Sunday to do episode 3 of it. We could actually just fly through it and just watch what's available and then just talk about it and hope as soon as episode 8 comes, it's finished, that's done and out. But I did say I would do one a week, and truthfully, I don't want to actually put myself through more than one episode a week. It is that bad.
But I know we have such an amazing audience and it is people that are even joining our panels. But it is,
Yeah.
if I came up to you as a stranger at work, have you
I
heard
was
about Wheel
in
of
my
Time?
office.
No, but exactly. It is. If I had come across it, complete newbie, I would go, seem to have some magic, seem to have some fantasy stuff. I heard you like it, but if I came up to you, someone has read book 1 at least 17 times, book 2 at least 16 times, book 3
Oh,
15
exactly.
times, and I just went, oh, it looks amazing. Now, I am perceptive to the idea that my younger colleagues that I have at work, they love the new Star Trek because they haven't seen old Star Trek at all.
Mhm.
Their first introduction to sci-fi is Jar Jar Binks' Star Trek.
Yeah. Crap TV.
Crap TV, and being able to try and persuade them to watch something that looks dated, doesn't have the fancy solar flares and like magic touch screens and everything, and you're just going. So, just so you know, storyline, this TV film that you say is amazing was supposed to be 5 years before Commander Pike took command of Enterprise in 1960s. They have touch screens, they have holograms, they have everything. Whereas Commander Pike is just going, I'll take this massive, bulky thing and I'll like press one button and hand it back to Uhura or whomever. They're not going to buy that. So I do understand that gap. But the fact is, back then, they baked sci into fiction. Pads, tablets, we have smartphones today. They're not
Yep.
this big, chunky.
Oh, they're getting bigger.
You hold it in your hand and you do like
iPhones are getting
beep,
bigger.
done.
iPhones are getting bigger. But what we'll do is we can go on and moan about all these new TV programs out there, but we'll finish where we are. So next Sunday, episode 3, guys. Remember, we also do a stream on a Wednesday night and a Saturday night with myself, Jim, and Windology. Sometimes Dan pops in. This week we've not made a decision what we're going to be watching prior to it, but we'll see. We'll put something up.
No. I'm gonna put Windology on the spot here. It's her turn to choose. So sorry, Windology. I apologize. Happy Christmas.
If I'm not mistaken, Repo Man was Windology's, was it not? It was Repo Man.
Yes, but mine was Nightmare Before Christmas. So she's coming around very soon.
No, that's for Saturday. The Nightmare Before Christmas and the Saturday streams is going to be the Christmas ones.
Yeah.
Windology's for Saturday. I'm talking about the Wednesday. So
oh, now I'm feeling panicked because I need to get prepped for it.
Yes, So it's just a case of I'm trying to remember.
Apologies, Windology. I'm not ready. I'm sure you are.
Because last Wednesday we did Repo Man. Then we did the Doctor Who birthday stream, which was mine's. So it's yours for Wednesday. So it is.
Mine?
Because it was Repo Man, then the Doctor Who, and then yours for Wednesday. But the Saturday, yours was the Nightmare Before Christmas. The Saturday afterwards, right, hold on. Let's Talk Geeky Saturday night was Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's When's doing picking for Christmas one this Saturday. However,
but it is my Wednesday.
Yes, but Wednesday one Wendology did Repo Man. I did the Unearthly Child for the birthday, and Wednesday.
Can I be super cheeky if it's my Wednesday, because I'll go this one.
Zulu. I've got it sitting there. Don't you worry. Oh, there's Wednesday said she'll pick something for Wednesday stream.
Wendy, you're absolutely amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So, ladies and gents, thank you for joining us for the Wheel of Crap. I mean, time. I mean, diversity. I mean, a crappy diversity time. So, from myself and Jim, remember,
I would like to salute, but this is just so junk. I can't do it.
Yeah, remember, I'm not old. I'm classic. So, PJ maybe and
Jim the Viking.
I can't remember what.
Salutations.